Hello and welcome back to the program. Well, as you can tell, we've now reached our Fort Walton Beach studio. We're going to talk about an event taking place actually right outside of our doors here at Uptown Station. That's going to be a crawfish event coming up later on in April. It's going to be brought to you by Emerald Coast Crimestoppers. And joining me now to talk about Emerald Coast Crimestoppers and that upcoming event is Sherry Bruns. Excuse me, Sherry. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
So glad to be here. Thank you for having us. And
Absolutely.
It's nice to kind of be back over in this area of town. We used to be here when I worked, and now we've moved and we're back. So I like it.
Old stomping grounds, probably a little different, isn't it?
It is. You've done a lot of wonderful things here.
We have, we really like our new location, and you guys are bringing another great event to this location. So
it's exciting to talk about, especially since we're looking in bigger and better every year.
Absolutely.
Here at Uptown Station. It's the Crimestoppers Crawfish Boil. We've kind of tagged on to the Sheriff's Program's Explorer program, and it is a 5K mud bug run and a crawfish boil. Runners can still sign up right to the very end on active.com to participate, and then stick around. Hopefully, if you don't run, come on anyway to the crawfish boil.
Definitely come get some crawfish at Uptown Station. I assume it's in the parking lot, the main parking lot
Right, City
out there?
Park.
Okay. Tickets in advance? You just buy a box when you get there? How does that whole thing work?
It's come, eat as you come.
Okay.
So, and we always say that, especially being married to a man from Louisiana, they have little euphemisms and sayings that you pinch the tail and suck the head of a crawfish, and then you can't do it any better than right here in Fort Walton Beach. I don't know how that goes, but we sell the boxes, and we also have shrimp, and I need to mention that as well.
Yeah.
So every year it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And I want to say that when we first started this some 9 years ago, it was like 300 pounds of crawfish and maybe 100 pounds of shrimp or 50 pounds of shrimp. And now we're like at 1,800 pounds of crawfish. So it has, and people come from all over because they've heard about it. And the fellow that comes over to cook for us from Louisiana has the right spice. It's just perfect for those who are expert crawfish eaters and those who are novice
Still
crawfish
trying to figure
eaters.
it out, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I mean, in springtime is crawfish season, so it's
yes.
definitely a good time of year to do it. So, are you guys still looking for sponsors, or do you need any kind of volunteer help? Is there anything the public can do?
We always appreciate sponsors because it is a fundraiser.
Sure,
it's our main fundraiser, and such a worthy cause for Crimestoppers. But yes, between the Explorers program and the Crimestoppers group, we're always looking for sponsors and people to participate. And if you want to help and get involved, we'd love that too. We'd welcome everyone to be a part of this, because what this program does for our community is really outstanding. Matter of fact, I've got some stats for you. Do you mind
let's talk about the program a little bit. Crimestoppers, of course, everybody's seen the billboards or seen the commercial or something on the radio, but what is Crimestoppers? What do you guys do?
Okay, so it's really neat. We actually just celebrated our 20-year anniversary back in October, which in itself is kind of hard to believe that we've been doing this for 20 years. But the program itself started back 40 years ago out west in New Mexico. And there was a law enforcement officer who was really stuck on a cold case of a murder robbery of a gas station. So he decided to do a reenactment on video and put it out to the public. Well, back in those days, people were very reluctant to help the police because of retaliation purposes and whatnot. But once he put the video out there, he was able to get some people to call in, and they, within 72 hours, got the murderers and solved the case. And but the trick to that was he offered money with that video, saying if anybody comes forward with information on how to solve this crime, then we'll pay you. And thus the anonymous.
Thus it was born.
Right. And I think that's one thing we'd like to point out is that Crimestoppers is not a confidential source of information for law enforcement. It's an anonymous source. So we're very, very restrictive in the information, how it gets dispersed and how we get it, because we don't want that to ever be a reason someone would not give us the information.
Yeah, I think that's a very good distinction of the two and how you guys work. So, all right, so I know somebody that you guys are looking for, or if I see a crime that's committed or any kind of aspect around that, how do I report it? How do I let Crimestoppers know?
Well, and let me tell you, if there's something that's imminent going on, if there's a car wreck or something like that,
you see an active
a
crime.
murder, you call 911. You definitely want to do that. But as far as if you're aware of something that's taken place, you've heard talk of a crime that has occurred, that's when you call 863-TIPS. And then you are connected with someone who can take your information, and then they they give you a code, and you are supposed to call back to find out if the board, approved it, if it helped to lead to the arrest of that person. And then you take that code to the bank, and nobody knows the difference.
Yeah.
So it really does. But here's what I was going to, if you don't mind, if I'll share some stats with you. Since we started 20 years ago, we have received more than 32,000 tips. Wow. Now that tells you something's working if that many people are calling in. We've had 2,100 arrests that were made based on those tips. And the rewards that have been approved, and like I said, the board approves the awards that are given, $320,000 in rewards have been approved. So we say that, a maximum up to a certain amount, but sometimes that's approved to go more, especially if it's a cold or longstanding case that hasn't been solved. And as far as stolen property and narcotics recovered, $2.5 million based on tips received from Crimestoppers. Wow. Now that's pretty exciting over the course of the 20 years. But last year we had a record year. We had over 1,200 tips received. We made 69 arrests, and I say we, law enforcement made. 78 cases were cleared based on those tips. We designated almost $20,000 in rewards, and almost $200,000 in stolen property and narcotics were recovered. So that's huge.
That's a great way to celebrate 20 years, right?
It really is, and it seems we're doing something right.
Yeah, and we're out of time, but thank you so much for coming on. You guys definitely have a great program, and we'll have you back. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And thank you for tuning in for this month's show. We'll see you next month as we take another look across the Gulf Coast.